Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Tonight, I want to talk to you about something that relates to all of us, an experience that everyone in this virtual room has lived at some point or another one. The experience is called l'esprit d'escalier or the escalator wit. And now this is not about bad luck preposition in which if you go under a stair, you immediately get fired from your job, or a funny anecdote in which I fell down from a staircase. I gotta say that both of these things happened at some point and they are ridiculously funny to explain, but that's for another day. What I want to talk to you about is this expression, l'esprit d'escalier, which was created by Diderot in the 1770. This expression appeared for the first time in his essay called The Paradox of Acting. In this one, he described the esprit d'escalier as a perfect comeback or witty remark that one frustratingly comes up only when the moment for doing so has passed already. He brought it up when describing a situation he felt one night during a dinner. He was dining at the home of an important statesman when the statesman suddenly made a remark to which Diderot was left completely speechless. And then he explained, and let me read this because I think it's interesting. A sensitive man, such as myself, overwhelmed by the argument against him, becomes confused and can only think clearly again when he finds himself at the end of the bottoms of the stairs. But why do I bring this tonight? Because as speakers, we've all faced this situation. We've all had a speech prepared, we've been working for it about it for a long time. We finally delivered it, we received the applause, everyone congratulates us. But inside ourselves, we have this inner voice telling us, you could have said something different. Maybe the whole thing could have been rethought. And it is very frustrating. And it does not only happen when we are performing at Toastmasters, it also happens in the rest of our lives. When we have a discussion with our partner, when we have to bring an argument with your flatmate or friend to not talk about when we were teenagers and we were trying to ask our parents, can I please come back home later at night? But is there anything we can do about it? Is there a way to solve it? Because as far as I can tell, I've had this feeling my whole life, and I don't seem to find a way to overcome it. It seems like we are all destined to have mediocre replies whenever we don't need them. That's gloomy. Unless, unless we improvise. Yes, follow me along. I think improvisation is the key thing here. So to put you in context, last year, out of boredom and eagerness to break the monotony of the lockdown, I discovered improv by joining an improv course close to my house. And in doing so, I've discovered that improv has actually some really useful techniques that can help us overcome the spirit of the escalier. How paradoxical, right? Paradoxical. I love that word. The key to overcome this fear of not having the right word to say might be to only improvise. Let me walk you through it. So I've gathered four main techniques that improv actors need to do on stage in order to make sure that an improv goes seamlessly. The first one is that they need to listen. In improv, they tell you that listening is the most important skill. You need to pay attention on to what the other person is saying, and you need to pay attention to what is happening around that person because you're acting on the spot and there's no time to check beforehand what are you going to do. So listening is very important. Another important skill to have is a yes and attitude, and I'll come about that in a minute. And then it's also important to make sure that the other actor on stage besides yourself also looks good. It's not about you having the wittiest remark and trying to burst it into the audience, but rather making sure that the other person has the space to do so. And last but not least, to follow your gut. Sounds like a cliche, but believe me, this is the way to do it. So in order to put some context on these four techniques, I've invited to join me on the screen two of my friends. Meet Rachel and John. And please do not judge me. I've been very alone and lockdown is very boring. So here are my friends. So they are improv actors, and at this moment they are gonna perform a routine for us. We've asked them to create a scene in which one is the boss and the other one is the employee. We don't know yet which one is which, so let's see what happens. The goal of the scene is that the boss needs to fire the employee and the employee needs to get the job back. The first thing they will do is to listen to clues each one give. If Rachel starts walking in a decisive manner and asks John to come immediately to the office, John will reply yes. He will accept that at this moment Rachel has already decided to become the boss of the situation. And since there is no room to argue, no, but I want to be boss today, he will just have a yes and attitude and move towards it and accept that at this moment he's the employee. The conversation starts moving forward, and Rachel has the determined goal to fire John. But before she does it, she knows that in order to make sure John looks good during the scene, even though I gotta tell you, she has great remarks and jokes, she has to leave him space to act, to also propose his ideas. She already decided that she's the boss. Maybe now John can propose something else. And with these four things, the conversation moves forward and the audience enjoys a good time. And of course, they follow their gut because it's improvisation, there's no rules. Do what you think you can do best. What is the ending of this story? We don't know. And I'm sorry, guys, I was not able to write it down. But what I have is a conclusion for you. Because maybe what Diderot tried to explain with this expression is that the reason why we are not always able to say the right thing at the right time is not because we lack wit, knowledge, or talent. The reason is that we are humans. And as humans, we are at the mercy of our nerves, false reactions, spontaneous events, insecurities, and uncertainties. We've grown too used to seeing great speeches and eloquent actresses proclaiming perfect replies, and we've taken them for granted. And we are frustrated when we don't have them. But the main difference between those scenes and us is that behind those great quotes, there's actually a team of writers writing and rewriting, and most probably trying to overcome their own fear of the staircase wit. So, since we do not have a team of writers within us, let's remember that maybe the key to give the best reply at the right time is if we listen, understand the truth of the other, we do not focus on you looking good, and upmost we follow our gut. Let's all have fun in this improvisation game we call life. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.